Well, hello, gardening fans. Oh, yes, and Frankie. Hi, Frankie. Good boy. And welcome to Marvin Gardens, September. It's late September, very late September. Hi, Jessie. Jessie's checking in, see what's going on. And the sun is just about to dip below the horizon. We got a heck of a fire pit fire going, and we are ready to do the garden video for September 2017. So let's walk on over here to by the way, you can tell it's getting to be fall when you start seeing scenes like this. But anyway, somewhere, well, there's Frankie, but there are also some chives down in there, because typically that's where we like to start. They're kind of neglected and overrun with grass and everything else, but they're there. And we do have a frog in here somewhere. I've seen him quite a few times. He's going to have to find a new place to hang out, though, once it starts getting cold around here. And we've really turned the corner from summer to fall. You can see how sort of depleted and kind of tired the plants here are in no man's land. A little casualty of the wind with our fence bracing here, and you can just see the sun is getting ready to drop down below the horizon, even though it's only quarter after 6:20. But it is almost October, so that's what happens this time of year. This used to be the glorious corn bed. Now, I'm going to be talking about harvest and things like that, and as I do so, I know I've got various stills and maybe some video clips of things, so I'll just be inserting them, but I don't remember what I have where. I'll have to go back and look. For example, as we're looking at the corn bed, I probably have some video clips of the dachshunds enjoying their favorite summer treat, which of course is corn on the cob. But that's all gone now. We've pulled all the stalks and set them up around the place as part of fall decor. And it was a good corn season. But it's all over now, as they say. That brings us to bed number 2, which is tomatoes, and you can see the tomatoes are looking pretty ragged these days too. We still have them coming in. In fact, Frankie helped himself to one just tonight, and you can see every once in a while a flash of red and or orange, as we still have a few coming in, but they've slowed down quite a bit. A good tomato year it's been, though. And peppers also are still coming in, slowing down somewhat, but we're still getting lots of guys coming in, and we should continue to get them right up into the first frost. And then these are the I think they're the Felicity peppers, which I was struggling so hard for to describe as jalapeno peppers without the heat. Continues to be just an amazing eggplant year, as Jessie can attest to, hanging out under all these eggplants. They just keep coming in, and this eggplant right here, the plant, is easily 6 feet tall, and we've just been grilling them as fast as they come in. But just a great year for eggplants all around. These used to be leeks, long since harvested, and that brings us to bed number 3, which is completely vacant. And this is the time of year when I'm showing you things that what they used to be. We did get our last crop of potatoes, which were Kennebecs, and a very nice crop. So all in all, potatoes and onions, pretty good year. And over here where Mr. Franklin is sniffing around and digging. Our artichokes, now we're not going to see any more artichokes, but since the plants are still growing, I haven't plowed them under and anything. We did get one right down here is what looks to be an artichoke, or tried to be an artichoke, but it really never developed into anything. That brings us to celery. Celery is all done for. These are just some stalks that came up after I pulled the main bunch, but they're not going to amount to anything. And then the celeriac is beyond that, and I still haven't pulled any of those. I hope leaving them in the ground this long doesn't negatively impact them. I did discover that the longer you leave the celery in the ground, the more likely the inside gets attacked by bugs and or rots. So if I do those again, I'm not going to do so many because we were really overwhelmed by celery. Maybe a half row or just 4 plants or something like that next time. And I'll try to blanch them a little bit better too. Now, that brings us to pole beans. And although there are a few stragglers here in the red noodle department, they're really not much of anything. The vortex are still coming in. I pulled I don't know, maybe a quart or so of them just a couple days ago, and I see there's more coming in that are of harvestable size, so that's pretty good. The other variety here was Marvel of Venice. They're all done for. Plants are still showing some leaves. They haven't died yet, but there's nothing else left. And this used to be sweet potatoes. I was seeing a little bit of evidence of rodents getting in under my rodent protection, so I decided to go ahead and harvest them all a little bit earlier than normal. I usually wait till just before the first frost if I can. But as it turned out, there was very little rodent damage. They might have gotten to 1 or 2, and very little insect damage. And we got a nice crop of sweet potatoes, actually. So I'm happy about that. And I kind of obliterated these marigolds, but they'll straighten up and keep blooming. That brings us to whatever this bed number is, 5, I think. I still have not harvested the kale, but I'm going to. The only reason I haven't is because I haven't had to, really. I did pull the cabbages, the variety called Storage number 4, and they are downstairs, and they will keep there pretty well for a few months. Now the broccoli is pretty much done for. You know, there's maybe a shoot or 2 like this that I could snip off and harvest, but not much going on there. And this sort of leftover brassicas here are that's actually a harvestable little head of cabbage there, but there's not much happening with those guys. And but Brussels sprouts are looking pretty good. I harvested quite a bit of them just this week, but you can see there's plenty more that are approaching harvestable size, and they are very tolerant of you know, you can leave them, you know, until you're ready to use them, really. And now my second planting of broccoli really didn't go anywhere. I don't think they really cared for the soil or the environment, or maybe the fact that they were crowded out by all these marigolds. But maybe next time I'll plant them someplace else for the second planting. And this is actually the remains of a very good ground cherry harvest. One of Frankie's favorites. He's sniffing around for a few right now. There's actually quite a few on the ground now that, if I bothered to take the time to pick them up, would be good snacking material. And then that brings us to the end of bed 5 here, which is okra. And okra has, as I mentioned before, been slow and steady. It's still blooming and still producing pods. And those blooms, as I've mentioned many times before, open in the daytime and then they close up late afternoon, evening. And that brings us to the final bed in the garden proper, which is our sunflower and marigold bed. And it's very far past its visual glory, but if I go in here and spend some time, working these sunflowers, there are lots of sunflower seeds in there that are harvestable. So and the ones that have ended up on the ground have been foraged by birds and rodents and who knows what else. So I'm really feeding the wildlife here. But this has just been a fun bed all season, and you can see the volume of marigolds that have come up, and they all came up on their own. We didn't plant any of them here. So that's pretty much it for the garden proper, and we're not even going to walk out to the pumpkin patch there, because it's all done for. All the vines finally died back a week or so ago, and I went out and pulled everything. We got a pretty good crop, as I showed you earlier, and there was a fair amount of rodent damage this year to them, but we even got some Waltham butternuts, as you can see right there. These are the New England pie variety, and they're actually pretty nice. I had a couple that I've cooked already, and no strings in the, they're very smooth pulp variety, as opposed to these guys, which are the jack-o'-lantern types. We got quite a few of those, but mostly what we're going to be using those for is just fall decorations around the premises. In fact, there are some of the bundled corn stalks right there that we put there, and we put out by the gate, and etc. As you can see, Jessie, as usual, wants to go inside, so we'll open the gate and let her go, but it's not because we're going inside, girl. It's going to be a while yet. But here's an example of just using the pumpkins as decor to kind of ornament the garden gate here. And when I say rodent damage, you see I've got the good side turned out, but if you look back here, that's what the rodents did to it in the field. The pond here is really doing quite well. The fish are a little hungry. I'm due to feed them, and they know it. That's why they're coming to the surface like that, pointing their noses at me and says, "Hey, you know what time it is, right?" But things are looking good around the pond still. Those are the what the heck is that? Pickerel rush, I think, is the name of that blooming plant there. And of course all the fancy moss that Vanina's been planting all season long, and a little top reservoir of water up there is just clogged with water hyacinths and everything else. So anyway, everything looking pretty nice around here. The fruit trees, I'm not going to go out and show you the apple tree because the apples are just so pathetic out there. I still don't know if we'll get any that are worth doing anything with. Maybe we will. But interestingly enough, since the last video, when I said we didn't get any peaches. This is the little peach tree. We actually found a peach on the ground back behind the tree, which means it was sort of tucked up under the leaves here, and I never even saw it. So we actually did get one peach this year from this tree. And then, like I said, we got several partial nectarines from this tree. But this tree, which is the pear tree, was just incredible this year. I think this is the best pear harvest I've ever had. We literally had over 100 pears, many of which I made a point of eating fresh, and the rest of which we made into pear preserves, several pints of pear preserves. So that was pretty nice. And that pretty much is going to wrap it up for this instance of Marvin Gardens. And it is, as I mentioned, September, late September. Oh look, the lights have come on in the garden gateway. That's how dark it's getting out here. And so we're just going to sit down here by the fire pit, finish our glass of wine. Vanina isn't here this weekend to help me with the camera work, so I'm back to selfie mode here. But that's good. So back to old school. But she did a good job last month, so I'm sure we're going to be doing much more with her behind the camera coming up. But that's going to do it for us here at Marvin Gardens. And like I say, we've got a nice fire pit fire going, and it's pretty warm out here for late September, and it promises to be in the 70s for the coming week or so. So looks like we will not get a early frost in the beginning of October, at least the first week. So that's going to do it. So I'll leave you all and hope you're having a fine fall. And oh, one more thing. It looks like I'm about to go solar, and that includes panels on the roof, but also a ground array. And for aesthetic and functionality purposes, that ground array is going to go right where you're looking right now. So it's kind of going to take out about three full beds in the garden here. And so we're going to have to move some of these beds and kind of reconfigure the garden. But I'm kind of excited about going solar, so that should be fun. We'll include that update in the next garden video if it should happen by then. But it's probably going to happen within the next month or so. So that's going to do it. And I think Frankie's right there to say goodbye also. And got a little ashes on his forehead. He had a little tomato or two today. He's been looking around for rodents. He's been doing his job out here in the garden. So, like I say, that's going to do it for us. This is September 2017, Marvin Gardens. And we'll see you next month in October, when you know what happens. That's right, Halloween and the beginning of the official holiday season. So we'll see you then. Until then, well, just enjoy yourself. Bye, y'all.